Mike is such an asshole. He flirts with other girls in front of me. Why can't I find a good guy? Good guy appears. Oh, wait, Mike's calling me. Yes, babe, I'll be there in 10 minutes. So this idea that these women say, oh, I would never, you know, I want the good guy. I want the good guy. I want the really good guy. And then the good guy shows up and they're bored and they're chasing after the guy who's not giving them time.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, you can't judge a woman by what she says. You got to judge her by what she does, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a chick that's constantly like, oh, my ex was toxic and this ex was toxic and that one's ex was toxic, like, okay, you like toxic guys.
Or you're toxic.
Or that too, right?
You know?
And probably, honestly, the root of that is probably coming from a broken household where mom and dad were fighting. If you ever do your due diligence and do your research as to why a girl is acting a certain way, always look at her family, right? Yeah. Is she coming from a divorced household? Was dad there? Was he an asshole? Was he beating mom? Was he drinking? Right? And 9 times out of 10, when you have like bad behaviors in the children, it came from the parents. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this situation here, it's kind of cliche when they say like, oh, you know, like she says one thing, but she does another. But I mean, it happens all the time. And how you actually solve this is just look at her actions. Like I tell guys, if you're going to date a girl seriously, you need to vet her for at least 18 months minimum.
18 months.
Yes.
Wow. They're not doing that. Guys aren't doing that.
They
not even
aren't.
close.
They aren't, but they should, right?
What does vetting mean? What does that process look like?
A woman could put up a good act for 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
But then, you know, there's eventually chinks in
There's
the
a leak.
armor. There's a chinks in the armor. You start to see what's really happening. And then you're like, oh, so this is who you are.
So what, in that period of time that you call vetting, what should guys be looking for specifically?
Well, you want a woman that is just going to have your back. And that's my number one thing, because women leave relationships left and right these days.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they ghost people. They block them. They treat men like they're not humans. And that's just absolutely reprehensible behavior, right? So I just tell a guy to like look for a woman that's going to be understanding. Look for a woman that's going to be supportive. Look for a woman that when you're down and out, she's still there for you, right? I was dating a girl for a long time. I was dating her for like 4 years, and there was a point where I was like literally a loser. I was just like, I had lost my job. I had lost my business that I started. And like at one time, like we went to the beach on a weekend, and she wanted to pay for like our $45 dinner. And like, I just didn't have the money. And I was just like seething internally. I am such a fucking loser. And I was so embarrassed that she had to do this, but she paid it. She held me down. And like I carried that guilt for like 2 years. And then when I finally made it big, I just like bought her whatever she wanted. But you want a woman that likes you for you. A lot of guys go for the woman that they like, but you got to go for the woman that likes you.
That likes you.
You know?
Yep. I did this the other day on here. I was talking about how, yes, I'm not saying don't buy nice things for your girl. I'm not saying, you know, don't take them out to a nice dinner, but you need a girl who is going to be happy as all hell if you take her away on a trip and it's just you and her and there's nothing fancy. Right. It has to be, at the end of the day, you have to be enough.
Yes.
And you will, if a girl really likes you, you will be enough. You will notice the difference between that girl and someone who's there for the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I had a beautiful, like half Japanese, half Brazilian girlfriend. And I remember she was just so down for me. And at the beginning of the relationship, I was like, man, what is this bitch up to? Like, because I wasn't used,
not used to it.
I wasn't used to this. It was like my first year in Japan. I was like, what's this chick's angle? And I was like, all right, like I have time, but I only have 2 hours. And the only thing near my house is McDonald's. She's like, okay, I'll meet you there. And I was just like,
oh, no joke.
And this girl's a model. Like she showed up. She's a beautiful model. And she goes with me, and we literally ate at McDonald's. And this like, I went home, like rethought my life. I was just like, what did I just experience?
Yeah.
But I was at the time, I was pretty young. I was like 27. And so that was like 10 years ago. So I was looking at that versus like my American relationships and other relationships that I've been in with women in Japan that didn't have what we like to call in the red pill space and manosphere. Like she didn't have genuine desire for me.
Oh, Rolo talks about that all the time.
Right.
Yep,
you know, genuine desire.
Yep.
You want a woman who has genuine desire for you, not for your Ferrari, not for your house,
right.
not for your 401k, not for your Bitcoin, right? But for you.
It's when a woman is really into a guy, it's so powerful.
Yes.
I mean, it's really like, we will do and die for you. you are enough. Like, I will always say, like, a woman would rather be with a guy she's really attracted to and really into in a hut than a guy she's not attracted to and not into in a palace, because that attraction is so important for a woman.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, you can have all the money in the world. If she doesn't want to sleep with you, if she's not physically attracted to you, it's eventually there's going to be a glitch in that machine.
Yeah. And that ability to be deeply in love with your man gets eroded away the more dick she takes, the higher her body count. Like, you know, you just fry out the receptors and they get jaded. You know what I mean? There's like, the data is clear. Like, the girls who sleep around, they have higher levels of depression, higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of just genuine dissatisfaction with themselves. And when you're unhappy with yourself, when you're constantly anxious, you're constantly depressed, how can you even function happily in a relationship?
Right.
You know, your personal judgment is clouded.
And they're used to a revolving door. They're used to that dynamic of like come and go and just like, so that becomes their norm, you know, and they're not used to like actually building with someone, going through the ups and downs, providing that support.
Yeah.
It's like one foot is always out the door, particularly now, I think with social media and how like women get so much attention.
Yeah.
They always feel like, oh, well, I'm happy, but happier could be right there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just leave that door open.
Yeah.
It's a real big problem, actually, the technology. Interesting when you were talking, and I'll let you respond to this, but when you were talking also about Japan, I was thinking, I wonder like if technology and the fact that there as well, women can be on all of these channels, you know, they can be out there everywhere at one time. Is that compromising, you know, the values of these individual countries and places and cultures that do actually value traditional values? You know, the girl goes on Instagram and suddenly it's like, you know, is it that much different?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think overall, if you're going to weigh out the positives and negatives of social media, I think the negatives just way outweigh the positives, you know? But it's kind of, we're in the situation right now, and it is what it is. But like, going back to like what I was saying with the body count and stuff, when these girls are constantly on these social media platforms, they're constantly being, you know, hit up by
DMs.
Like, in the DMs, sending likes, sending comments. And with these girls, they always have one foot out the door. Like, how are you going to commit? You know what I mean? A lot of these girls, you said they get conditioned into like, you know, thinking like the solution to their problems is just at the end of another new dick. Like, they literally think like, I'm just going to find a new guy.
Yes.
You know, and like, you are in a relationship. How long have you been married? 5
years in February.
And how long have you guys been dating?
I want to say 8.5.
So 13 years total.
Yeah.
And
No. 5 years married,
Okay.
and then an additional three plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
During those 8 years, I'm sure there were good times and I'm sure there were bad times, ups and downs.
I mean, every relationship, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, we truthfully, like, we're pretty good. But like, of course, in the course of a day, like, will we see things differently sometimes? Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to paint your marriage in a bad light.
No, I get it.
But I'm trying to say is like, a lot of people, because we live in this TLDR generation, right? Like, people don't wait 4 seconds for a website to load.
Yeah.
Instagram shorts, or Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, TikToks, right? These are all conditioning us to be wanting instant satisfaction, instant gratification, right? And people are thinking relationships are like that, and it's just not the same. Like, you have to work things out. And this is for men too, because a lot of guys are like, oh, this girl doesn't act right. You know, she's next. I got to next her hard. And that's just not the solution. Now, you do have to have boundaries, and you do have to have a certain level of tolerance. But I feel like modern females nowadays, they have the delusion to think that they're inboxed with all those dudes.
Right.
Each guy is a perfect guy.
Right.
But that's just not the case
And
at all.
because they're largely promiscuous, they're comfortable just being like, oh, this is done. I'm going to hop over here. Like that. I wasn't, again, like when I invested in something, it felt like really important to me because I hadn't had that revolving door ever.
Right.
So it's just a different vibe. Interesting. I also, it's interesting when I met my husband, he'll remember this. I remember he had, there was a girl that had, what he had went to college with or something, and I remember her being in a relationship with someone, and they were serious, and she would go on other guys' Instagrams, hearts, like all this weird stuff, and I remember sitting him down and being like, this girl's shady. This is not appropriate. It's disrespectful what's going on. And I see that too. I see these girls they're in relationships. I'm like, what are you heart liking? That is, keep that for your man. Like, it's nothing sacred to you girls anymore. It's like, And I think that also is part of that, like they spread themselves thin all those years, this, that, everybody's in the phone. It's like you start dating a guy, but you don't cut off contacts with other people you hooked up with. It's just all so nasty to me.
Yeah, it is.
God, I need a DeLorean to go back in time.
And I think a big part of that too is like, I just think they genuinely don't know. That's why I think like women like
this
you.
Is all they know. Yeah.
No, like women like you are important. Like you really have to teach them. That's how this is going to get changed. We have to teach them like this is not okay, because women think like, yeah, it's okay to be okay, like friends with my ex. But if a guy is keeping in touch with his ex-girlfriends, that girl is just like livid. She's like,
because they know that's not, it's a tricky situation. I did a whole thing on the other day about like girls who have the single male friends.
Oh no.
And they spend quality time alone with them.
Nope.
Honey, no, come on.
No.
I mean, no.
No guy's okay with that.
No, and you have to know. Like the other problem is like the guys say, well, if I speak up for myself, I'm going to lose her. Okay. You know what? Then you'll lose her, and you're going to also lose a headache along with that.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I tell that to a lot of guys. They're afraid to lose their women, and they sacrifice this is what Hold Frame is about, right? They break their internal boundaries. They break their internal code in order to keep the woman, but ultimately what they're doing is just guaranteeing that the woman's going to leave.
Right, 100%. If you like the short clip and want to watch another short clip, click here. Or if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.